Company policy. They shrugged when I asked why the new hires were earning more than me after 11 years of loyalty. You can stay or go. That was all they said. No explanation, no justification. I stood there, looking at their smug faces, feeling the weight of over a decade's worth of work and sacrifices brushed aside as if it meant nothing. But they did not know what I had prepared and what I was going to leave on the CEO's desk before walking out for good. I am Laura Quinn, 36 years old. 11 years of my life given to this company. A place where I arrived young, eager, and full of ideas, believing that hard work would earn respect, believing that loyalty would mean something. But in the end, I was only a number to them, a replaceable, forgettable employee in their long list of names. I was wrong to trust them, but I would not make that mistake again. Before I continue my story, let me know where you're watching from in the comments and hit that like and subscribe button. When I first joined Halton Tech, I was 25 years old, a fresh graduate with a degree in business systems and a dream of building something that mattered. My first position was that of a junior systems analyst, buried in spreadsheets, analysis reports, and late-night error logs. I stayed late, came in early, and covered for others when they wanted days off. When systems crashed on weekends, I was the one who answered the emergency calls. I took the tasks no one else wanted. I trained the interns, mentored the new recruits, and solved the problems the managers could not even understand. For 11 years, I rose through the ranks, slowly, quietly. No grand promotions. No titles that meant anything outside the company walls. But everyone knew I was the backbone of the operations department. Even the senior managers asked for my help when the new software rollout failed last year. I saved them millions in downtime, working 2 nights without sleep to fix the errors caused by the new vendor they insisted on hiring. And yet, when I asked human resources why the 3 new hires fresh out of college were making 20% more than me, the answer was simple. Company policy, Sarah from HR said, her voice flat, uninterested. I blinked. Policy. I asked, swallowing the anger building in my chest. I have been here 11 years. I trained the last 3 managers you hired. I managed the logistics system that saved this company from collapsing last quarter. And you are telling me the policy is to pay them more than me? Sarah shrugged without lifting her eyes from her screen. Market rates. New hires cost more these days. You know how it is. I stood there, silent. I could feel my throat tightening, my hands slowly curling into fists at my sides. And what about loyalty? I asked. She looked up then, her expression blank. Loyalty does not pay bills. You can stay or go, Laura. Your choice. I left the room without another word. My heart was racing. My face felt hot. But I did not cry. I did not slam the door. I did not shout. I smiled, because I knew something they did not. For the last 6 months, I had been quietly preparing. I had copies of every process document I had created, every custom script I had written for their systems, every workflow improvement, all saved carefully legally because I was the author. My personal intellectual property, not covered by any restrictive contract. They could not touch it. I also had something else. Proof. Proof of the mistakes the senior management had made over the past 2 years. Costly mistakes. Errors they had covered up by shifting blame onto the technical teams. Mistakes that, if shown to the board of directors, would raise serious questions about the leadership of this company. I gathered my things that evening methodically. My plant, my photographs, my mug. The small things that reminded me of the years I had given them. As I packed, I watched them. The managers in their glass offices, laughing, talking, completely unaware. The next morning, I requested a meeting with the CEO. Is this necessary? His assistant asked coldly. Yes, I said simply. 5 minutes of his time. I am resigning, and I would prefer to do it properly. Reluctantly, she scheduled me in. The CEO, Mr. Dennis Clark, barely looked up when I entered. Laura, heard you were leaving. Sorry to see you go. But you know how it is, fresh blood, new energy. Nothing personal. Of course, I said calmly, walking to his desk. I understand completely. It is just company policy, after all.
He smirked, nodding.
But before I go, I said, placing a thick folder on his desk, I thought you should have this. He frowned, picking it up. What is this? Documentation, I said softly. Details of the cost overruns on Project Helix. The ones reported as unexpected vendor price increases. Also the unauthorized system changes made last year that nearly caused the data loss. And the emergency funds that were misused from the maintenance budget. All traced, all verified. It is all there. For the board. His face paled. The smile vanished. Where did you get this? I wrote the systems. I maintained the logs. I saw everything. I replied, my voice steady. I could have ignored it. But then you told me my loyalty meant nothing. He opened the folder, flipping through the pages. His hand shook. Of course, I said, picking up my bag. This is just a courtesy copy. The originals are with my legal counsel. And they have instructions. Unless I tell them otherwise, this will be delivered to the board tomorrow morning. Along with a full report. His eyes darted to the security button under his desk. I smiled. Call security if you wish, I said gently. But there is nothing here that is not legal. I am leaving of my own free will. I turned toward the door. His voice cracked behind me. Wait, Laura. We can talk about this. But I was already walking away. As I stepped out of the office, I felt light.
Free.
The stares of my colleagues followed me as I walked down the corridor. I did not care. I had given them 11 years. They paid me with disrespect. But in the end, I made sure they understood what I was worth. When I left the CEO's office that morning, the building felt different. It was not the glossy, polished place I had walked into on my first day 11 years ago. It felt smaller.
Cheaper.
I could see the cracks now, in the walls, in the people, in the lies they told to keep the machine running. And behind me, Dennis Clark sat frozen at his desk, holding a folder that could destroy everything he had spent the last 15 years building. I stepped into the elevator, breathing deeply as the door slid shut. No security guards chased me. No angry shouts.
Not yet.
But they would come. I knew this company too well. Their arrogance would not allow them to let me go so easily. Somewhere behind the glass walls and locked office doors, phones would start ringing. Emergency meetings would be called. Legal teams would scramble to find out what I had gathered, what I knew, and how to stop me. But it was already too late. The moment the elevator touched the ground floor, my plan, 6 months in the making, was already in motion. The first message arrived on my phone as I crossed the marble lobby. Laura,
this is Peter from IT.
Are you okay? I heard rumors. Did you really resign?
Peter.
One of the few decent people left there. I smiled softly at the screen and replied.
Yes.
I am fine. Better than ever. Do not worry. I stepped outside. The air felt cooler than I remembered.
Fresh.
Like breathing after years underground.
My phone buzzed again.
Unknown number. Laura Quinn. This is Michelle Sterling from Arcadia Systems. We received your application and the attached process designs. Our CEO is interested in speaking with you directly. Are you available today? I stared at the message for a moment, smiling wider this time. Arcadia Systems. Halton Tech's biggest competitor. The company they feared the most.
Yes.
I was ready. But before I could reply, another message popped up. This one from an old friend, Karen, who still worked in finance. Laura, what did you do? Clark just canceled all meetings. Board members are being called in. People are panicking upstairs. What is going on? I could almost hear the panic in her voice, even through text. I could imagine the sudden rush of anxiety flooding the top floor. Senior managers whispering behind closed doors. Nervous glances thrown toward the CEO's office. It had begun. I slipped my phone into my coat pocket and headed down the street. There was still one more thing I needed to do before meeting Arcadia's CEO. I stopped at a quiet cafe 3 blocks away and ordered tea. Sitting by the window, I took out my tablet and opened the secure cloud folder. Every document, every proof, every custom process improvement I had designed for Halton Tech was there. My scripts. My automations. My problem-solving models. All of it. Halton Tech thought they owned me. They forgot I had never signed over my intellectual property. My contract was old, written long before they started adding restrictive clauses for new hires. They thought I was harmless, invisible, a loyal machine who would never leave. Their mistake. I transferred copies of everything to Arcadia's secure portal. The CEO there, Mr. Grant, had contacted me weeks ago after hearing whispers that I was unhappy. At the time, I hesitated. But now I was ready to hand him the weapons to crush Halton Tech. My phone buzzed again.
Karen.
Laura, they are demanding IT pull your system access. They're freaking out about something you left on Clark's desk. What did you give him? Everyone says he looks pale as death. I typed slowly, smiling. The truth. Finally. I turned off my tablet and finished my tea. The meeting with Arcadia was in an hour. Arcadia Systems was nothing like Halton Tech. Their office was open, bright. No glass cages. No heavy doors. No distant executives hiding behind assistants. When I arrived, the receptionist smiled warmly and escorted me straight to the top floor. Mr. Grant met me at the entrance to his office. He was younger than Clark.
Sharper.
His handshake was firm, his gaze curious. Laura Quinn, he said with quiet satisfaction. I have heard a lot about you these past weeks. And this morning, even more. He gestured for me to sit. I received the files you sent. Your process designs alone could save us millions next quarter. And the system improvements? Brilliant. But that is not what really interests me. He leaned forward. It is what you know about Halton Tech. I smiled slightly. Their weaknesses are many. Their risks even greater. But I am not here to gossip, Mr. Grant.
Good.
Neither am I. I am here to offer you something better than they ever gave you.
He slid a folder across the desk.
I opened it. Head of Operations. Senior level. Salary triple what I had earned before. Full creative control over system development. No interference from upper management. And, he added, a signing bonus equal to what Halton Tech paid you the last 3 years combined. As a gesture of goodwill. I looked up. His expression was serious.
Sincere.
No glass ceiling here, Laura. No empty promises.
You built them.
You can rebuild us better. I closed the folder. I will need my own team. Of course. And full authority to replace any underperformers. Done. And I want to present the new process models to your board myself. He smiled. I was hoping you would say that. By the end of the day, the contract was signed. My old life at Halton Tech was over. But their problems were only beginning. That night, as I sat on my balcony, my phone buzzed one last time. It was Karen. Laura. Clark called an emergency board meeting. Rumor is they are investigating the financial reports from last year. People are whispering that heads will roll. You did this, did you not? I typed simply. They did this to themselves. I turned off the phone. Staring out at the city lights, I felt something I had not felt in years.
Peace.
This was not revenge. Not really. This was justice. And tomorrow, the world would see what happened when you underestimate the quiet ones who build your empire while you are busy counting coins. It was the morning after everything changed. I woke up feeling lighter than I had in years. No office to rush to. No unread emails waiting. No calls from panicked managers asking me to fix disasters they had caused. Just quiet. Just freedom. My phone lay silent on the bedside table. But I knew it would not stay that way for long. When I finally checked it, the messages had piled up overnight. Karen again. Laura, the board meeting lasted 4 hours. No one's talking, but something big is coming. Clark looked broken when he left. Whatever you gave him, it is tearing them apart.
Peter from IT.
They locked down the servers. Emergency audits happening. Clark's office has been sealed. Someone said external investigators are coming. Did you file a report with the board? I smiled to myself. No, I had not filed anything. Not yet. All I had done was leave that folder on Clark's desk. A warning. A sign that I knew, that I could speak, that I had proof. Enough to break his career, his reputation, maybe more. But the board, sensing the danger, would tear him apart even faster than I could. That was how this world worked. Power protected itself. And I was no longer their shield. By noon, I sat across from Mr. Grant again, this time in a smaller meeting room at Arcadia Systems. Beside him were two of his senior executives, silent, attentive, all eyes on me. "The question," Grant said softly, "is how much more you are willing to tell us, Laura. About Halton Tech, about their weaknesses, about how we can use this window of opportunity." I sipped the water in front of me, feeling their tension in the air. This was why they had welcomed me so warmly. Why my new contract had been so generous. I was not just an operations expert to them. I was a weapon. They built their systems on shortcuts. I began slowly. Cheap vendors. Outdated security. Data structures that do not scale. I have the full map. Their logistics software is 2 versions behind, patched badly. Their supply chain model has flaws that could delay production for weeks if stressed in the right way. Grant exchanged a glance with his deputy. "And that is just the technical side," I continued. "Their staff turnover is rising. Morale is collapsing. No one trusts Clark anymore. After this morning's panic, it will only get worse. You could lure away anyone you want. Half their senior analysts were trained by me. They will follow if I call." Grant smiled. "Do you want to call them, Laura?" I leaned back, thoughtful. "Not yet. Let them sweat. Let them panic. When they realize their backbone is gone, when the board starts cutting, then we pick who we want." The room was silent for a moment. Then Grant nodded slowly. "Brilliant. I knew we were right to trust you." I met his eyes. "One more thing," I said. "I want Halton Tech's next major contract. The Helix upgrade project. It is worth $20 million. They cannot handle it now. But we can." He smiled wider. "Consider it done." Later that evening, as I left Arcadia's building, my phone buzzed again. It was Karen. "Laura, it happened. Clark's been removed as CEO. Effective immediately. Official notice just went out. Internal investigation. Financial misconduct." I stopped walking, staring at the screen.
So soon.
Faster than I expected. They've locked his accounts, pulled his access cards. Half the managers are in emergency meetings. Nobody knows who's safe. "You caused this." A small, quiet smile touched my lips. I typed back.
"No, Karen. He caused this."
I just refused to carry it for him anymore. She sent another message. You really planned all this, did you not? What happens now?" I paused. What happens now? I glanced at Arcadia's shining tower behind me. My new office. My new life. I typed slowly. "Now, I rebuild. Somewhere better. And maybe, just maybe, I would make sure no one like Dennis Clark ever stood on someone like me again." A week passed, and the headlines hit. Halton Tech CEO removed amid scandal. Sources cite financial misconduct and operational failures. Senior staff fleeing Halton Tech after CEO collapse. Competitors move to recruit talent. And the best one. Arcadia Systems announces major expansion. New operations had recruited from Halton Tech to lead growth. That was my name in the article. Laura Quinn. Finally seen. Finally valued. But even as I stood at the window of my new office, watching the city below, I knew it was not over. Clark was gone. But there were others like him. Other companies like Halton Tech. And I had just proven to myself that I was strong enough to stand against them. 1 week turned into 2. By then, Halton Tech was bleeding. Quietly but steadily. Like a great ship struck below the waterline. I watched the damage unfold from the calm of my new office at Arcadia Systems. The reports crossed my desk daily, market analyses, talent shifts, leaked memos from worried insiders. Every document told the same story. Their empire was crumbling. They thought I would vanish quietly. They thought I would be grateful for 11 years of scraps. They never imagined I would walk away holding the keys to their downfall. But this was never about revenge alone.
It was about respect.
About being seen. "Miss Quinn," My new assistant, Elise, appeared at the door. Mr. Grant would like to see you in the boardroom. He says the Helix project proposal is ready for final review. I smiled. The Helix project, the very contract Halton Tech had been struggling to deliver for the past 2 years. The one they boasted about in every shareholder meeting. The one that was about to become mine. Tell him I am on my way. In the boardroom, Mr. Grant stood at the head of the table, flanked by his top executives. The mood was quiet, focused. Here it is, Laura, Grant said as I took my seat. Your plan, your design, your strategy, the complete Helix project upgrade. Signed off by legal, cleared by finance, ready to pitch to the client next week. He slid the folder across the table. I opened it. There it was, my vision in print. Streamlined systems, cost-effective processes, scalable architecture that Halton Tech could never build now that their operations team was gutted. Every part of this proposal was mine. This is going to crush them, Grant said softly. Halton Tech cannot possibly compete now. Not without you. I closed the folder and met his gaze.
Good.
Then we are ready. One of the board members leaned forward. We have already had quiet talks with the Helix client. They are disappointed with Halton's progress. If we move fast, this contract is ours. I nodded. Schedule the meeting. I will handle the pitch personally. They all smiled. This was the moment they had been waiting for. The moment Halton Tech's greatest achievement, the project that was supposed to save them, would slip from their fingers. That evening, as the sun set behind the city skyline, my phone buzzed again.
Karen.
Laura, you should see this. She sent a photo, a handwritten memo, leaked from Halton Tech's internal channels. All staff, immediate freeze on all new projects. Executive leadership suspended pending further investigation. Board assumes temporary control. Helix project on indefinite hold. I stared at the screen.
Quiet. Calm.
It had taken less than 3 weeks. I could imagine the chaos there. Managers panicking. Teams leaderless. Clients walking away. Shareholders furious. They thought they could replace me with fresh hires. They thought they could shrug off 11 years of knowledge. They were wrong. I typed back. Thank you, Karen. You should consider leaving. Arcadia is hiring. Her reply came quickly. I was going to ask, do you have room for one more? I smiled. Always. Days later, I stood in front of the Helix project clients. A quiet, polished room. Senior executives from their side. Mr. Grant and his team behind me. All eyes on me. I spoke clearly, confidently. The new process designs. The cost savings. The risk reduction. The delivery timeline that Halton Tech could no longer promise. When I finished, the lead client smiled. We were hoping you would approach us. Halton Tech's collapse made us nervous. But this is exactly what we need. He extended a hand. Congratulations, Ms. Quinn. The contract is yours. The room erupted in quiet smiles. Mr. Grant leaned back, satisfied. I shook the client's hand, calm and steady. It was done. Later, back in my office, Elise entered, holding a thin white envelope. This just arrived by courier. No return address. I frowned, opening it carefully. Inside was a simple card. No signature. No name. Just 5 words, written in neat handwriting. You won. I lost. Clark. For a moment, I sat silently. No anger. No joy. Just quiet. He had known, in the end, that the empire he had crushed me under had finally turned to dust. I folded the card and slid it into a drawer. A trophy, perhaps. A reminder. But no longer important. I turned back to my desk. The real work was just beginning. A stronger company. A better team. A future where skill and loyalty mattered more than power and arrogance. My last move had shattered their office. Now it was time to build something new. 2 months later, the landscape had changed completely. Halton Tech was gone from the headlines. Their fall no longer surprised anyone. Investors had fled. Clients moved on. The once towering name was now reduced to whispers in boardrooms and cautionary tales at business schools. But Arcadia Systems, the company I now helped lead, was rising. Every report, every analyst prediction spoke of growth, innovation, strength. And at the center of it all, the Helix project. My design. Delivered on time. On budget. Without chaos. Without cover-ups. The team I built, former Halton Tech talent mixed with fresh Arcadia minds, worked like nothing I had seen before. No fear. No politics. No games. Because I had made sure of it. Ms. Quinn. Elise, my assistant, peeked into the office. Peter and Karen are here for the strategy session. I smiled. Two of the few people I had trusted from the old world. Now part of the new. Send them in. Peter entered first, carrying the system's reports. Karen followed, holding the finance projections. Both looked calmer, happier, different. You will like this, Peter said, dropping the reports on my desk. First quarter gains are exceeding projections. The Helix system you built is running at 99.9% efficiency. Karen smiled too. And the cost reductions? Over 15% better than the old Halton models. The board is thrilled. I nodded.
Good.
Keep pushing. We are not finished. Peter leaned against the desk, curious. Do you ever think about them? Halton Tech. Clark. I paused. Sometimes in quiet moments I did. I thought of Clark's last message. The quiet card with 5 simple words. You won. I lost. I thought of the boardroom where they dismissed me, where they said, company policy, stay or go. I thought of every late night, every weekend lost, every overlooked idea, every ignored suggestion. I thought of what it cost me to stay silent for 11 years. But I did not feel anger anymore. I think about the lesson, I said quietly. About what happens when a company forgets who built its foundations. When they forget that loyalty cannot be replaced with fresh resumes and higher salaries. Peter nodded, understanding. Karen spoke softly. And what happens when someone like you finally walks away? I smiled. Exactly. That afternoon, I stood in the Arcadia Systems auditorium. Hundreds of staff gathered as Mr. Grant took the stage. Our company, he said, owes its greatest victory this year to one person. Someone who stood against failure, who refused to be overlooked, who showed us how to build something stronger. Please welcome our new Chief Operations Officer, Laura Quinn. Applause filled the room. As I stepped onto the stage, I felt something deep, quiet, and steady settle in my chest. Not pride. Not revenge.
Peace.
I spoke simply, clearly. I spent 11 years being told that loyalty did not matter. That skill was invisible. That hard work could be ignored. But today, I stand before you because someone else believed otherwise. And because I finally believed it too. The room fell silent. Let this company be different. Let this place remember that every strong tower is built from the ground up, not the top down. And let no one here ever be unseen again. The applause rose like a wave. And as I looked out across the faces, new friends, old allies, and new future, I knew the truth. My last move had shattered the office that betrayed me. But this was the victory I had really wanted. Respect.
Dignity.
A place where people mattered. A legacy. And so the story ended, not with revenge, not with destruction, but with something far stronger. A beginning.